for the goddamn yawns. I can't wait to hear the yawns.
Sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Like you literally leaned into the microphone. I don't know
how to apologize.
I don't know what Jeremiah's gonna. Jeremiah, are you keeping the yawns? Are you keeping the yawns in?
Oh Jesus Christ, dude! That is probably one of the hardest episodes I've been had to edit in my whole entire life.
It was so bad, but
fucking,
perfect.
and that's the reason why it wasn't released last week, because it is literally impossible.
I say go with it.
That's my bad.
I say go with it. And let it be all of its yawn glory.
I apologize.
I mean, what's next? He's gonna be like all Ferris Bueller out. He's gonna put a fucking dummy doll like in front of the fucking video, and then he's gonna put something behind him like sound.
It was horrible.
Oh
I'm
god,
sorry.
the yawns. Oh man, I wish that we had recorded like the video of that. Remember that time that we watched The Ring and it was really good, and you guys
Remember that
shit
time
all
we
over
watched The Ring and it was shitty?
Did anyone else want to like play 007 on Nintendo 64?
Not
That's
a fan.
exactly what
God,
made me thought about it.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye changed my life.
Odd Job slappers only.
Oh, you're that guy. Do it.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Season 3 of 3.5 Gentlemen, the podcast, where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, and one of us tries desperately to keep up, like me last week. Well, as you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, are my co-agents, Jeremiah.
What up, yo? Sean, don't cock it up.
Eddie.
I want to meet your employer.
And 006, Brandon.
Oh, thanks. I honestly think that we found out who the half gentleman was finally last time. So yeah.
This season, we decided that each host will pick a film from each decade, from the 70s to today, that exemplifies that time period. Some of the films will be underrated, some classics, while others will be overrated piles of cinematic crap. To finish off each decade, the hosts will have a group pick that wraps up the decade in style. As with every review, we give our goals to answer one simple question: how many drinks does it take to get through the film we've just watched? At the end of the podcast, we'll rate the movie based on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being the perfect film that you can watch stone cold sober, and 5 being the sort of film that makes you want to crack open your back tooth and swallow cyanide.
Ooh, Mommy was very bad.
Last rat standing.
What makes you think this is my first time?
Ooh.
In addition to our review, we always
James
pair a
Bond.
selection with a cocktail that we hope will enhance the viewing experience. This season, we want to focus a little bit more on the cocktail selection, so please feel free for the 75th time to shake, stir, or mix the cocktail that we've chosen and settle in for what we hope will be an engaging review. With that,
can we just clap? Let's clap for that.
75, I think that's a big one.
I'm just saying, right now, I'm putting right now. The music is happening right now. Dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun.
With that, what movie do we have at the barrel of the gun this evening, Brandon?
So tonight we finally have a James Bond. It's a long-awaited pick by our quote-unquote host, Sean. And it's going to be 2012 Skyfall. It's the first entry in the James Bond franchise, follows the rogue and dashing secret agent 007 as he questions everything he knows about the Ministry and M, and fights against a foe who tests everything it means to be a secret agent.
Oh, yes, he
or
does.
a secret agent. And this is not the first entry into the James Bond. Do you mean our first entry?
This is our first entry in the
I
franchise.
was going to say, because we have this is the third Daniel Craig. And how many James Bond movies, Sean?
Over 20. So I don't know the exact number, but it's over 20.
Well, I'm surprised you don't know the exact number. No, anyway,
Keeps changing.
so
Daniel Craig only did 5 films, right?
Yeah, Daniel Craig did 5 before him.
Which is a
Pierce
lot.
Brosnan.
we need to talk about who's going to be the next one. Idris Elba, anybody?
Oh,
Heard that rumor?
I dig that one.
So I do have a question, Sean, for you later, but I'm going to get to that after we introduce Sam Mendes, who is, I don't know, I love Sam Mendes. He directed the spy thriller, and it's rated a 7.8 on IMDb, has a critic score of 92%, and an audience score of 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. The all-star cast is rounded out with Daniel Craig as 007, Judi Dench. Should we say Dame Judi Dench?
Dame Judi Dench. She's a dame.
Javier Bardem,
Oh, dude, Bardem.
Ralph Fiennes,
Voldemort.
Ray Fiennes, by the way, is literally one of my favorite actors of all time. We've got the beautiful Naomi Harris and the great.
Yes.
And I realized again when I was watching this why Sean picked this, and it's because Albert freaking Finney is in this movie.
I love Albert Finney.
And
So
Sean
just
loves
to clarify,
Albert Finney.
there are 27 official James Bonds, but the reason I didn't want to answer, Brand, is because technically there are 28 or 29, depending on how you score them. So just so
Wait. Was it a Roger Moore one? Wait, what?
Well, no. So Never Say Never Again was an unofficial Sean Connery James Bond plugged in the, like, I want to say the 80s or the 70s.
Was it
And then
Casino Royale, another one?
Casino Royale was David Niven, and that was prior to Dr. No in 1963. So, let's just say that there's 27 official canon James Bond films.
That sounds like a Shakespeare discussion because we
So
were trying to
they
figure out, are there
remade the
37
movies?
plays or there might be 39
What?
plays?
They remade the movies. That's
Well,
what they
so
did?
like Never Say Never Again was technically I would say a remake of Thunderball, and it was after the failure of Roger Moore's original couple, and they brought Sean Connery back in an unofficial capacity to try to boost
How do you do an unofficial
sales.
capacity as James
Because
Bond?
it wasn't an Eon production; it was an Everything or Nothing production.
Was it Kim
So wasn't-
Basinger in that movie?
Yeah, and
No
yeah,
shit.
Dope.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Anyway.
but that's
Yeah.
So continue. Sorry.
All right, so before we get into our cocktail selection, we need to talk about whose film this is, and additionally, what our initial impressions of the movie were before sitting down to watch it. Since this is Sean's film, and this is going to be Sean's podcast episode for tonight, let him start. Give it away, man.
So simple. I've been wanting to do a James Bond movie since we started this podcast. I think that the James Bond franchise is the most prolific series of films there ever has been, ever will be, mainly because we have 27 official releases with no cohesive title. So there's no James Bond there's no Star Wars, there's no Harry Potter. It is just a character that has survived generations of actors, generations of years on film, numerous changes, and specifically with the introduction of a female M, it really revolutionized spy thrillers. Everything about this franchise is bitchin', and I was so excited to start with this movie because to me this is Daniel Craig's best, and so that's why I was so excited to bring it to the podcast.
I'm going to take it because no, this is not Daniel Craig's best. His best is Casino Royale. But we'll get there later. So I am not a James Bond fan. I don't necessarily like him, mainly because I just don't know him that well. I don't know. I've never seen Sean Connery. I've never seen a Roger Moore or a Timothy Dalton. I've actually only seen, I think, 2 Pierce Brosnans, and just like GoldenEye just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm just not a huge fan of 007. But Daniel Craig fucking brings it. He is just so freaking debonair and suave, and I want to just be him. And this movie, and I'm going to talk about this more later, I am a huge fan of the Jason Bourne movies. And without this movie, without 007, you wouldn't have Jason Bourne. So, I mean, we're talking about an important movie franchise. And Skyfall, I think, though I don't think it's the best, I think Casino Royale is. I think that Skyfall is a kick-ass movie. So, who wants to take it next?
I will. That's a waste of some good scotch. So,
He didn't think twice about that one.
he just moved on from her.
He's like, oh, all right, shit.
But that's what. So 007 for me is in more than just the movie, if that makes sense. It's this person that when I was younger, I was playing with my brother, playing with my friends. 007 is a character, like Sean was saying, that this survived generations. And I didn't watch the movie probably till I was maybe in my teens, and that's with Pierce Brosnan, right? With Halle Berry, I think maybe that was one of them.
So Die Another Day.
Yeah, I think that possibly could have been my first, but I knew about him before, and I just played James Bond, and that was like the James Bond. Like that was what we did. So I always thought Pierce was my 007 for the longest time, even above Sean. So I never watched Sean Connery, but Daniel Craig definitely took it for me as soon as he stepped on stage. And this movie, I want to say, is up there with one of his best 007 movies. And I was looking forward to watching this movie again because I don't remember the first time I watched it, so I was excited.
Daniel Craig is just a fucking great actor.
He's a beast, bro.
Dude, he is a fucking beast.
He's Jason Bourne 2.0.
Squared, yeah. Yeah.
So I'll just piggyback on my brother. I mean, we only know like the 007 because of like the 90s franchise, GoldenEye. I mean, it might have left a bad taste in Brandon's mouth, but
I don't know what the fuck taste you're looking for. That was a great
I thought
movie.
I thought it was a bitchy movie actually, and just
Is it
it
Halle
going.
Berry?
No,
No,
that was
that's
with
Night
Sean
of the
Bean,
Day.
dude.
See, I didn't like
That was
Yeah.
with Sean Bean.
Which
Yeah.
one's Richards?
And
Denise
frickin',
Richards.
Oh.
Natalia on a top. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that movie was
No.
pretty dope, dude.
No.
And then
Anyway, Jared, sorry, continue.
No, and then you have the GoldenEye 64 Nintendo game and everything like that. That's just pretty much like
Beautiful.
just did everything for me. So never really a Bond fan and everything like that. Again, I was probably more of a Jason Bourne fan, but living with Sean and rooming with him, I mean, he pretty much got me introduced of the whole Bond franchise. And then when I saw Skyfall, I just thought it was probably one of the most beautiful movies made for a Bond film, and that has to do with the cinematographer of Roger Deakins. I mean, this is a beautiful
Roger
fucking
Deakins.
movie here, and he's one of my
Dude just
favorite.
became a knight.
That's awesome, dude. He is actually one of my favorite cinematographers, and so you could tell the love in this film. It goes another level against the other Bond films. So I was really excited to go over this.
To jump on that too, I think some of the most iconic scenes that we're going to talk about are throwbacks to previous Bond films. Because Skyfall was like, so No Time to Die, the newest James Bond, was a love letter to all of Bond. This to me
Haven't
was
seen
a
that
love
one.
letter
Is it
to
good?
Sean Connery Bond. It's okay, Sean Connery Bond, where most of these iconic like moments. There's certain things that James Bond is, and the cinematographer in this movie caught just such beautiful scenes. So like just we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah, let's get into
just so beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway.
Yo, let's get to the cocktail. Finally,
Eddie.
the cocktail of the hour.
Can we have a moment with like just a moment, please?
Oh, shit.
A
This
moment of
is-
silence.
This
I'm
is
shocked
This
this
is a
shit-
first,
this is actually
ladies
happening.
and gentlemen. This is a
I'm
first.
actually nervous and like bingo. We'll throw back to the old episode. Anyways,
Sean wouldn't get that one.
yeah, he was out when I said
Yeah.
bingo.
Yeah, he was in.
He was gone.
Glorious bastards, buddy. As we mentioned earlier, with each movie, we try to pair the tone and feel an overall impact of the story of a cocktail. This season, we really want to discuss the cocktail and more and how it links up with the movie selection. And finally, guys, tonight, we're going to pair this movie with a whiskey Coke. Just plain. Finally, tonight, I get to end this God-forsaken part of my life, I have to say, for every episode. But I get to end this version of the script because the drink we're pairing this tonight's film is indeed a vodka martini, shaken not stirred with a lemon peel. No drink in cinematic history is connected to a movie and a character in the franchise more than this. So tonight we toast our cocktail and to the secret agent who made it great. I made it good, bro, and then you had to drop that.
Yeah,
fucking word.
Don't worry.
No, it's good. It's
You
good.
won't,
Happy
you won't hear
75.
it. You won't hear it. You won't hear it.
All right. Well, for a complete recipe, visit our website at thegentlemanpodcast.com or on Instagram, the @gentleman podcast. Super weird.
Cheers,
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 gentlemen.
gentlemen. Cheers.
Bond. James Bond.
And I like when he had
No.
that drink, I was like, oh, that's the vodka martini.
No.
Shaking that stirred with a lemon peel.
I might just go with
Martini
I
is
might just
not-
might go with a Heineken.
So it's
Martini
really
is
funny.
not.
Yeah, it's not
fruity enough,
great.
no.
So what's really
Need two
funny
lemon
is
pills. Two
the
lemon
first
two lemon
time-
pills, please.
the first time this drink was actually introduced was in Dr. No, which was the original James Bond 1962 or 3, Sean Connery, and it was introduced by the villain with showing how much the villain actually knew who James Bond was. So he said a vodka martini, shaken not stirred with a lemon peel. And Dr. No was one of those intimidating villains. And what's really funny is if you go back and watch that movie, it's so similar to Silva. It's not even funny.
Silva played a
Does he
good
take out
character.
his jaw? Because I got to be honest.
No,
that's
but
some
he has
damn good
no
digital
really
hands.
effects.
So
creepy.
Dr. No has prosthetic hands because he got injured in a lab accident in nuclear fission or something like that.
Oh, so he's Doc Ock.
A lot of 007 characters all.
Wasn't there a
Messed up.
person named Jaws?
Yeah, Jaws was played by Richard Keel or Howard Keel.
Yeah,
I'll say
so
Richard
I feel
Keel.
like that was also kind of like a throwback, regarding to Silva's character and whatnot.
Oh,
when
for
he
sure.
took his mouth out and everything. So,
Some damn
guys,
good visual effects. Cinematographically, you talked about it, and I want to highlight because Roger Deakins is literally my spirit animal. He is the brilliant creator of my favorite movie ever, which is Assassination of Jesse James. He's
the
the
coward
cinematographer,
Robert
the
Ford?
DP. Yes, okay, that we can finish it. But he's the DP on that, and my God, he's a genius.
He's a fucking amazing cinematographer. I mean, he's done Blade Runner 24, the new Blade Runner.
Finally won a goddamn Oscar.
No
too.
Country for an Old Man, 1917, Sicario. I mean, he's all his work is unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's fucking
you can you can totally see it in this movie right here.
He uses shadows and darkness and contrast of that darkness and that light so perfectly. And I think we see that in the first chase. Sean, go ahead.
Not only that, so one of the things that make James Bond iconic is usually you have the gun barrel scene that opens every movie, right? So you've got kind of circles that go across the screen, and then the gun barrel comes out and reveals James Bond. And what Daniel Craig movies have done, all 5 of them have kind of fucked with that narrative or fucked with that timeline. Yes. And for the cinematographer, what's his name?
Roger Deakins
to start. So this movie, essentially the first shot of James Bond is him like coming out of the shadows, which I think is the whole theme of this movie, is that these new age clandestine spies have to operate out in the darkness. And the way that he just kind of emerges right at the very beginning, I think is one of the most impactful parts of his introduction.
I love the fact that seriously, like this particular James Bond that we get from the Daniel Craig era is more ruthless, just hardcore.
He's hardcore, but he's so broken, right? And that's something that caught me, is that he is a really broken person. He's tired. He's tired. He's kind of over the hill. He's drunk. I mean, he's had his time, but he's also failing every single one of his tests. I mean, and that, I don't know. It's interesting that they made him that way.
Oh, is it the test that he's failing, or the test outdated?
The test he failed.
Well, no, he was enjoying death. I mean, shit. He's like, fuck it.
It shows you that the test isn't. Go ahead.
No, but let's kind of bounce off what Jeremiah said. You've got this opening sequence where all James Bond movies have like an opening, death-defying, great sequence. There's been helicopters, there's been fucking jumping out of airplanes, there's been a bunch of 27 great openings. I think I would agree with Brandon that the Casino Royale opening, because it's one shot and him parkouring through, is superior to this.
I need to watch that movie. I have not watched that movie.
But I will tell you,
it's good.
I will tell you, this is one of the best opening sequences that you can get. And what I love about it is you start with like, you see Bond's humanity, and you don't really ever get that in the older James Bond movies, but he wants to stop and help the agent who has been shot.
His buddy.
M is like, and it shows how ruthless M and the Ministry have become. And it kind of sets up the whole spread of the movie, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the devil's advocate says, though, are they ruthless or are they determined to do the right thing? Right? I mean, because this is what I wrote down in my notes, is this is such a utilitarian question, is how much can you sacrifice the one for the greater good? And I mean, that's the whole driving theme of this movie, is can we be okay sacrificing and hurting and giving up, right? Silva was pissed because he was given up. Bond was given up, right?
They have a mirror image
at the same
together.
time, it's for the betterment of the whole.
In GoldenEye, M, that's the first time Judi Dench came on the scene as M, right? So that was like 90, I want to say
95.
95, yeah, 95. And having a female as M was like, oh my God, you can't have a female. Like, no, she was fantastic.
It used to be not females. Then.
Yeah, Bernard Lee was M for years, decades, through Sean Connery.
Okay. So now I see M.
Bonds,
Now I see M as
Judi Dench.
Yeah,
besides Maggie Smith, there's nobody who just commands British snobbery and perfection as Judi Dench.
But in GoldenEye, one of the first interactions she has with Bond is she calls him a blunt instrument. So basically, the Ministry, or whatever you want to call it, her organization is wielding Bond as an instrument to MI6 to destroy their foes. He's just a tool, and that kind of is it's echoed here as well. Is that they're just things. They're pawns. In a great game.
Yeah. I think the pre-credits is kind of a brilliant sequence when you think about it, because it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's a little ridiculous when you think about it too. I mean, but it's almost like giving the viewers like a little wink when you think about it. I mean, they're literally driving the motorcycles on fucking rooftops and whatnot. but you're like,
but it works.
But it
right?
works because you just know, like, you're like, okay, this is a James Bond film. This is what he does.
Yeah.
This is an opening sequence here.
And that's, I mean, if we're talking about movies that have lasting impacts, and I'm going to keep going back to Bourne, because Bourne is literally like a fan film of a James Bond, right? I'm thinking of I think it's Bourne Supremacy, where you've got the kind of the rooftop chase going on, and he jumps from the balcony into the.
That was the Ultimatum.
Ultimatum.
Yeah,
it's Ultimatum. But I mean, that's literally capturing what James Bond does at the beginning of the film. And I mean, there's nothing that has created such a style, I think, a filmic style as James Bond has. And so, I mean, we got to hats off
like,
to it.
I almost agree with you. Like, I do agree with you that in a way, the opening sequence had a Jason Bourne vibe, because it was just very fast-paced, fast cuts, just going back and forth and everything like that. It was just like, oh, okay, here we go. It's just a very quick action film.
What I feel like 007 is really good at is they've been able to adapt over the years. Like, I feel like other, like Jason Bourne, they took from 007.
Oh, absolutely.
But then 007's like, oh, we can one up you.
So let me give you an example.
Really well.
Yeah, so in the one of my favorites, Goldfinger, the opening scene is, and you say it's a little silly, a little fantastic, Jeremiah. You don't know where he is, you don't know what he's doing, but he's got this decoy of a duck on his head, and he's in a wetsuit, and he goes into this party down the canal, jumps out, takes off his wetsuit, and he's got a white tuxedo. Okay, he's got a white tuxedo. He blows up a building. He goes and starts screwing, having sex with this girl. And in her eye, in the reflection of her eye, he sees this villain behind him trying to attack him. And I'm just saying, these are the opening sequences that have shaped all of.
Yeah, see, it was almost like kind of like a throwback. It was a throwback to the old films and whatnot. That's the vibe I got from the opening sequence, because he gets on a train. But he does get on a train. He rips open the fucking train, and then he gets on top of the train. Yeah. And then he gets shot, and he falls over
he's dead.
He's dead. How do you see
he doesn't do his job eloquentness? There's no job of him doing eloquentness. He's gonna get the job done.
Right.
And he's gonna break anything that's gonna get in his way to get the job done.
So my question to you guys, the opening theme, Skyfall. Would you guys say that this is probably one of the best opening themes, or what is your favorite opening theme?
All right, so here's my problem, and I love her as a person. I love her as a celebrity. I wanna see her succeed. I cannot stand Adele. I don't like Adele, and I know I want to like her. I want to like her. There's about 2 or 3 songs, "Rolling in the Deep" and "Hello," that are brilliant, great songs. But man, there's something about her songs that just bore the shit out of me. Her new album bores the shit out of me. This song bore the shit out of me. It's not, you know what? It's not, Jack White and
it's
freaking, what's her name?
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. That one, I still listen to that song. That kicks ass.
Wait. So you guys didn't like the song, the opening theme song?
I did not like the song.
So I loved it.
You were just listening to it.
This is James Bond. So if you look back in history, you've got, Shirley Bassey was probably the biggest.
That was GoldenEye, right?
She did 2 or 3.
Okay.
I think she did Moonraker 2, but you've had Paul McCartney, you've had David Bowie, Paul
McCartney was a good one. Yeah.
I mean, you've had scores of great people doing these songs. Madonna has done one. It was terrible, but it doesn't matter. She did it. Tina Turner did GoldenEye.
Duran
Chris Cornell.
Duran did View to a Kill. That's my favorite one, actually.
So
dope.
And you had All Time High by I still is one of my favorites. I can't remember her name though. I want to say it's Carly Simon. Anyway, you've got great songs. This is Bond. Adele, this song is Bond. So
it's
whether
got that
or not
sultry
you like
quality to it, yeah. No, I 100%. I agree with you. I just think that for me, it was like that's a long credit sequence. It is, it's beautifully created. It's art to watch, but at the same time, I just want to get on with the damn movie.
And Maurice Bender, who did the original title sequences, like if you go back to Thunderball or Goldfinger, these were works of art that had never been done before. There was no CG. It was just bitching. They were bitching. I mean,
if you watch the title credit scenes and everything like that, it pretty much tells you the
little-
story. It tells you the whole movie, actually.
So I need to ask a question because this is something I think that many James Bond people question, especially when they're talking about Idris Elba coming on as the next James Bond. So is James Bond a name, or is it an actual character that has survived all these different iterations? Because here's the thing, and I had always thought that James Bond is kind of like a 007. It's a name, it's a persona that you take on, and that there's multiple different characters. But then we find out that he's actually James Bond when he goes back to Skyfall, the house, and we meet Albert Finney. Then we find out that he's actually James Bond. So, Sean, help me understand who is James Bond and how do we understand him from the 60s all the way up to 2021?
So James Bond as a character written by Ian Fleming in novels was a secret agent that you got a kind of an opening beginning. Hey, welcome to MI6. And then you kind of had through the end of his career. He was like a Jack Ryan character. Sorry, am I there?
You're here.
Okay.
You're just celebrating too quickly right now.
So when Ian Fleming wrote James Bond, he wrote him as a character from the beginning of his career until the end of his career. And James Bond was the character because they went back and they mined his past of being an orphan. They mined his past of doing a bunch of different things. So he was like a Jack Ryan or a Jason. Well, not Jason Bourne. That's a bad example, but he was a character who was a wholly inclusive. What they've basically done every change is that what the like Sean Connery's Bond, the first Roger Moore Bond started over. It was his first mission, or it was his early mission, and that's what they did with Daniel Craig's Casino Royale, which that was his first mission. That's how he became a 00 in the beginning of that movie. And the same thing with basically all of them. The only one that they did not follow that pattern with, I feel like, was Timothy Dalton, and those are two trash movies with the best music. So I don't know what to
So
tell you.
do you think going forward is that they're just going to focus on the 007? Kind of like the...
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, this is a perfect time to talk about who they should pick as the next James Bond. And I am a huge fan of Aidan Turner, who played either Feely or Keely in the Hobbit series. And he plays a character called Poldark. He's fantastic. And he should play a brand new green James Bond, and they should start him in training all the way through the end of his career.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
That.
So
like M finds him.
So who's your James Bond, guys?
Who's
your James Bond if they have to?
I think that Daniel. I thought you were going to talk about which one we've had. I think that Pierce Brosnan carries a lot of that debonair quality. Oh, I know. I misunderstood him the first time, but I'm going to answer my question.
Answer your question.
Fucking answer. So Pierce Brosnan, I think he carries a lot of that debonair, like suave character, but I think that Daniel Craig just owns it. Now, going back to the actual answer, I have no fucking clue. I'm just going to go ahead and throw an oddball out there. Let's go back to Andrew Garfield. The fucker can do anything.
Oh, I'm in.
Right? He can do it.
No,
he's British.
Is he? Is he British?
Oh, he's British. He's a British motherfucker, and I love him.
Oh, good. Okay, then that would be a good one.
No, he would be a terrible James Bond, but I don't really know. I don't know.
They've talked about Richard. They've talked about Richard Madden. They've talked about.
I would be so about Richard Madden.
No, Kit Harington would be bad.
They've talked about also
he's so good looking.
and Henry Cavill, but
no, they're too old.
They're too old. Yeah. Well, although
Cillian Murphy's also top.
No, Cillian Murphy isn't.
But he's also
love
old.
Cillian Murphy, but he's not pretty enough. You need someone who's
super gorgeous.
Oh, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Cillian Murphy has eyes to go for days, but he is
a gorgeous man.
On his own, no, he doesn't.
Who's Idris Elba? Is he from
Idris Elba?
He's from Office, right?
Dude, that would be legit right there.
Yeah. So
he's too old too, though. He's too old.
I'm 100% with them going with a different take on. I love Idris Elba. I love a bunch of different options. The only thing I would say that I would not be okay with is if they went with a woman, only because this is a man's role. And if you want to create a great character, create a great female character. Don't make James Bond a woman.
I will go ahead and agree with you, Sean. I don't like doing it, but I'm going to agree with you.
I agree with you.
I know.
So, do you think the movie Skyfall in the Bond films refine the the Craig era of being James Bond?
Yeah, because I think Quantum of Solace really was a drop. I think that I hated it. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but to me, Quantum of Solace was such a drop. It was Mark Forster, and it just wasn't good.
He's the one who directed the Kite Runner, right?
He did Kite Runner. He did Stranger Than Fiction. He's got a lot. He's a great director, but he just really didn't do a good job with this. And I think it's interesting because Sam Mendes, I mean, I think he's one of the premier directors out there, but he does a whole lot of drama. So the fact that he comes in and takes on this really action-oriented directing role, I think is interesting. But I also think that this is why this movie is so good, is because it has such a great eye and such a great focus on character development, on character brokenness, and then coming back from, because if you look at Mendes's other films, with the exception of Jarhead, which is as action as I think he's gotten before this, everything is about broken characters who are either redeeming themselves or, like in American Beauty, they just fucking don't redeem themselves.
What about the Tom Hanks one, The Road to Perdition?
Road to Perdition, yeah, but see that's another one. That's not action oriented. That's so.
But it was
character
pretty
driven.
bloody, and sometimes
Oh,
during
it's blood.
the movie.
No, yeah. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that he's not.
You guys didn't think who I wanted to be for James Bond. Why didn't you ask me?
You said all his names. Who'd you say?
I was going to go on the limb. There's two, and one of them he's kind of already done other movies. That's like, you ever watch Kingsman? That one young actor.
He's too small, dude.
Taron Egerton.
He's dope, dude.
Yeah, him. Or I'm going to go on the really long out, far fetch Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland.
Dude, Tom Holland is the biggest movie star right now, dude.
He's a fucking spider. He's a spider that nobody remembers.
Tom Holland can't be Spider.
He has 2 #1 movies
I
out,
love
dude.
Tom Holland. He's too short.
Nobody's smart.
Nobody remembers him, though. That's the problem.
I remember him.
Oh, yeah, that's not true, Brandon.
Spoiler.
So, did you like watching Bond enjoying death? I mean, he was just laying in the beach, just fucking drinking and sex and all that stuff.
He wasn't enjoying it. I think he's
the man's man, bro. He's a man's man. He does what all of us dream
miserable.
about.
He was miserable.
Bullshit. He's not. He's like enjoying life. He came in. He's like, you should enjoy it sometime.
No, he was miserable. He's a guy that lives for what he does, and the fact he was pissed is what he was. He wasn't enjoying. He was pissed.
A little pissed, but he was
a little pissed. The fucker was. Oh, he was pissed.
He was getting it in, and he was having a drink. Like what? Like those are the best.
He wants to kill people. That's what he wants to do. He loves the game. That's what he does.
What do you think, Sean? What do you think?
That word association that he was doing when the guy said, I think he said kill. He goes employment.
Yeah,
like that's him. So I think that he was not enjoying retirement. And here's my criticism. And yes, I have many criticisms, but here's my criticisms of Daniel Craig's Bond is that he's always in fucking retirement. He's always got one foot out the goddamn door. It's like,
you're right.
It's like, we get it. You're old and broken. You can't make that the premise of every fucking movie that you do.
Well, his last movie,
so it wasn't old and broken. He was pissed.
Old
what he was.
Yeah, but he's also got a lot of mommy and daddy issues. You know, I mean, this movie kind of tiptoed around it a little bit. Like, he did lost his parents. M, kind of a mother type of figure.
Yeah, other person who lost his parents, he became a fucking bat, and he was kick ass. That's all I'm saying.
Let me answer your other question, Jeremiah, is whether this film kind of, I think it stabilized Daniel Craig as James Bond in a lot of ways, but I think it goes back to what Brandon you said about Pierce Brosnan. There's two sides of James Bond. He's a gentleman, and he's a vicious killer, and I don't think that Pierce Brosnan did the vicious killing very well, but he was a very good gentleman. Mm-hmm. I think that Sean Connery balanced it both. I think Roger Moore had more gentleman, less vicious. I think Daniel Craig in the beginning in Quantum of Solace and in Casino Royale was too vicious and not a gentleman. And in this movie, all of a sudden, he's a tie straightening like gentleman, and it really did come through. And I think this stabilized the character and stabilized his character of James Bond very well.
I'm gonna say you're saying that he's like a broken man and everything like that, but Jesus, I've never seen a broken man with a body like that. I mean, this guy is.
Oh, he's got a body like a back road. I mean,
Jesus Christ, man. He looks he made it look so painful to have a nice body like that.
I want to talk.
Hold on one second. There's a scene. It's either in Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace where he's coming out of the water, and that's one of the most iconic. Oh yeah, but it's one of the most iconic scenes in James Bond. From from Dr. No, an actress by the name of Ursula Andros comes out in this white bikini, and she comes out of the water and is like this most beautiful thing in the world. And in this series, Daniel Craig does it as James Bond, and
he's
like,
fucking beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice change.
It is. So I want to talk about two of my personal favorite actors, and they just both happen to be in this fucking movie. And that's Ralph Fiennes, who I think is he's so goddamn solid in everything he does. But then also we got to talk about Javier Bardem. And I don't think that there's an actor alive, and I'm taken mainly from No Country for Old Men in this one, but there's an actor alive who can capture ruthless evil, unadulterated evil, and insanity. Like okay, so last podcast we were talking about Christoph Waltz,
Christoph
right?
Waltz,
and
who ironically plays Blofeld in this series,
right? Inspector, and like. I mean, so we're talking about him and how well he portrays that I'm smarter than everybody else, and I'm 7 steps ahead of everybody. And then you've got Silva here with Javier Bardem, and the way he plays just crazy. Like that's what he is. He's somebody who is so deranged and so fucked up. And I mean, I think that there's so many different scenes we can point to, but I think the one that probably stands out to everybody is the gun scene, the duel, right? Or the target practice. And just the joy that he has in this. I can't get over Javier Bardem in this movie.
I can go a little one before that rap monologue.
Oh, yes.
Dude,
one.
That was one take, dope. I mean, he was deep, sexy. He was just charming, and he was ruthless, flamboyant.
Just pitter-patters on his leg and just kind of...
and I love that scene. I love that scene. That he's so ruthless, but in the same time, he wants to fuck the shit out of fucking like James Bond right there. He is so about
that
him
blonde
and shit,
hair?
dude.
My God.
And I love what James Bond, he goes, what makes you think it's my first time? I'm like, ooh, look at this guy.
Yeah, Bond knew how to play it. So Javier, when I think of a villain, he's like the top of the villain list. One of the, if not the top, like he plays it perfect. Like there's not many other villains that I feel like, oh, he's in the movie. I like the movie as a villain. He plays the villain really well. And I scary as fuck all the time. Like even in non-villain movies, I'm like, is he the bad guy still? Is he still the bad guy?
The Ricky Ricardo movie, you're just like, oh shit, is he bad?
Like, when is he gonna pull out a Glock?
I don't trust him.
He's really a nice person in real life, which is insane. And he's married to Penelope Cruz. What can go wrong?
I didn't know that until right now. So amazing. Like, wow.
Fun fact.
So what's really funny about the Bond franchise, especially this later one, is they reintroduced a character named Ernst Stavro Blofeld, right? So he is the overarching villain of James Bond. And the problem I have with introducing him after this character, Silva, is that Silva blew him out of the water. He was so intimidating and so terrifying. Mm-hmm. I almost wish that he had been revealed as like the Blofeld character.
I like that, yeah.
Because you can't, and this has always been the problem with James Bond, is that Blofeld's always been in the background, and then you've introduced individual villains in each Bond movie. So like, yeah, Dr. No, Goldfinger, Grant in the second one. You have all these different undervillains that work for Spectre.
They're right. Spectre. Okay,
they work for Spectre, and at the top of this pyramid of Spectre, there is Blofeld. And what we've gone away from the last 20 years is that theme, and we finally got back to it a little bit with the Daniel Craig movies, but they did it too late. They should have started at the beginning and didn't give the arc that it should have had. They only had a two movie arc for Blofeld and not a 5 movie arc.
So with that, Sean, a lot of people believe that Javier Bardem played the best villain in the Bond franchise. Would you consider this as one of the top villains of the Bond franchise with this performance here?
I would say he's definitely top 5, maybe top 3. Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when you look back, villains are always something that the Bond franchise has struggled with. I think Alec Trevelyan in GoldenEye was a pretty good fucking villain. I think he was pretty. I liked his character arc, but it wasn't necessarily acted as well as this. I think this is, as far as acting, this is probably top 3, if not top.
And what's interesting is that he comes in halfway through the movie. Like we don't get him
more than half.
And he captures it. I think that there's two things to me that capture this movie, and it's him, and it's the fucking house at the end. I mean, those two
Albert
things just root it. I mean, how can you not talk about Albert Finney? Hey, remember that movie that was? I think it was like our first one that we actually did. With, oh shit!
Oh my God.
Big Fish. Do we remember that one?
Yes, we do remember that one.
I don't remember.
It's
that one,
My
to be
Cross the Bear. It's My Cross the Bear.
But anyway, Albert Finney. I mean, we can jump around, but Albert Finney, he's such a solid actor. He always just reminds me of like the bumbling drunk uncle, but at the same time, and it's just the way he talks. I mean, nothing against him, but I forgot that he was in this movie. And when he popped out, I said, oh, fuck, that's why Sean picked this one. And also, God damn, he is fucking amazing. And he really is. He's a great, great actor.
Was it 20 minutes in it? The last 20, 30 minutes of the movie?
Yeah, he owns it.
And it's just like, it was almost like, thank you. You're getting us to almost the last part of the film. And here's a little treat for you. Little icing on the cake right there. He's fucking amazing in this movie, dude.
Yeah, he really is. But if you go back, I mean, I'm going to bring up some actors, right? The people who have played so Christopher Walken has played villain. We've got I'm going down the list like
Sean Bean was a villain. I actually like
Sean Bean. That's Alec Trevelyan. Alec Trevelyan. That's he was great. And then Christopher Lee was a phenomenal villain. One of the villains that I think rivaled Javier Bardem was Mads Mikkelsen.
Casino Royale.
However you say it. Casino Royale. He was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he's
the guy
who's fucking amazing.
Gert Froh played Goldfinger. He was terrifying.
Mm.
There's been some great actors that have played these villainous characters, but I think Javier Bardem almost brought James Bond into a new era of appeal. I think people watching his villain were like, "Oh, I could get behind this. Like, I could watch more of these."
I almost wanted him to survive to have more of him. Like, I wish if he had more. I liked his background. I like how he was the M raised him as a son pretty much, and he just got too hardcore of the China underground, the Chinese underground.
Yeah.
Well, what I liked is that he's not a villain who wants world domination, right? He wants revenge, and there's that
Joker.
horrible, beautiful, awful scene where he says, "Let's do it together. You can end both of our lives," and he puts his head next to hers and is hoping to go out with her.
Right.
And that to me is a Joker moment, right? It captures this idea of, number one, insanity, but also this idea that he's not like Pinky in the Brain trying to take over the world, right? He's got literally one goal, and that is to fucking watch M die.
And that's when Bond is best. I'm sorry, Bond is best when it's personal, small stories,
Exactly.
not end of the world stories.
Exactly.
And Daniel Craig gave us two movies, Casino Royale and Skyfall, and to some extent, No Time to Die. All of those were small, like
I have to watch No
personal
Time
stories. Yeah, you really don't. Rami Malek, who I think is a great actor, was trash. He was trash.
No,
Shit, dude.
he's hit or miss.
He's always hit or miss, dude.
He is hit or miss. He was great in Night at the Museum. Leave him at
Great
that.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody, sure.
He was good in Twilight, Breaking Dawn.
He was. Nice. Oh.
So let's talk about Skyfall, and I keep going to Roger Deakins because I think he made the best looking Bond film ever. And there's three parts of this movie where I want to talk about. The first one is the Shanghai where Bond is facing Patrice in the top of the building, and it's like the figures, you see them fighting each other and everything like that. I mean, that was just beautiful there.
Did that not remind you though of Blade
glass.
Runner though with the streaking?
It was gorgeous, dude.
Jumbotrons, right?
And then the grand entrance to the water casino, going through that dragon. I mean, just fuck. It was just like so stunning. And then the last part, the burning house, where you see Silva
Deakins
just like
Deakins
walking
does color
and the house.
fire.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, the house burning in the background with the figure.
Fire better than anybody. Yeah.
Let me just tell you
Masterful.
this though. One of the James Bond trademarks is locations and opening sequence or opening shots, right? So like one of the things that Bond has done over the course of its 27 films has shown you places that you'd never see before. It showed you the pyramids when nobody had really seen them on film before. It showed you the Amazon. It showed you all these different places. So this movie, I think, introduced you or reintroduce you to areas that you might not have really seen. I loved that casino. I thought that was one of the most beautiful introductions you possibly could get.
I like the island. That was
the deserted island. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
It had like an Inception vibe to it.
but even London, I felt like it reintroduced you to London in a way that you really hadn't seen London that way before. Like it was high, and you had like these great aerial views. It was just beautiful. The movie was beautiful.
Yeah. I like the underground. Like I talked about Winston's. This is like his area that he had in the 40s. That Winston Churchill had. It makes you think, like, is it true? Has to be there, right?
Well, there are war rooms in London that are underground that were the Churchill war rooms. I mean, if you ever go to London, that's one of the tours you could take is his underground Churchill. Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
Jeremy, did you go with Sean too?
No, God damn it, I did not go with Sean.
Let's go to London.
Had fucking tickets for you, Jared.
Fuck, I was stranded in some fucking like Breaking Bad place in Dallas.
Everywhere I went, they were like, "Oh, is your like they didn't know what to call you. Like, is your partner, is your friend coming? Like,
roommate, guys, roommate.
It's my roommate.
It's a fucking roommate.
Buddy. He didn't make it.
Like, should have been like.
The Jack Ripper tour was my favorite, like, because there was all these full seats and then one empty seat next to me, and they're like, "Oh, is Jeremiah coming?" I was like, "No, he's not going to make it." And they're like, "Oh, did you guys break up?" It's like, no.
Here's what you say. You say, "Man, I wore him out last night, and he needs to sleep a little bit."
Ooh, what makes you think it's not my first time before? So what do you guys think about the supporting cast in this film? Because I think this actually puts Skyfall into another level. I mean,
Naomi Harris, Ralph Fiennes,
yes,
and Judi Dench. That's all you have to say. They're all on top of their game. They're all absolutely brilliant. And I feel like, because here's something else, and I mentioned this last time with Brad Pitt in Inglourious Basterds. Sean, that was the movie we did last time, and that was that. Yeah, it's a Bond movie, and Bond is in the majority of the scenes, but at the same time, he's not like, he doesn't carry the show to me. He is a supporting cast member in a bigger cast that does well. And one of my favorite scenes, and I think that I'm a sucker, just like so many people are, for voiceovers done well, right? And it reminds me so much of the scene in Two Towers, where you've got the king. And he's giving his speech about prepping for the
Where
battle.
was the horse and the rider?
Right.
Where was
it's beautiful, and it's done well, and it's got the building music, and it's got, so this is, Emma's giving her deposition speech, basically, of saying, this is what
Tennyson.
we do. And she reads the goddamn Tennyson poem. And Bond isn't in any of it. And we don't want Bond to be in any of it, because this is such perfect acting, and it's such perfect directing, and it is such perfect cinematography. And I feel like when a movie does that, it's a movie about a character, but at the same time, it doesn't rely on the characters to succeed. That makes the movie a whole nother tier.
I think that Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench, I think The Last Hour is just her finest. Like, seriously, hands down. She just goes on another level on that. And we didn't even talk about, the new Q, the actor, Ben Whishaw.
Ben Whishaw,
I just watched Paddington,
good,
and he is adorable in that.
Hold on, because we got to go back, because without a character actor named Desmond Llewellyn, who was Q for fucking 90 years.
films, yeah.
So one of the things that I loved about Q is that he always battled James Bond in a way, like he would challenge him, because as good as James Bond was in the field, Q was as good in the lab. And I think finally you had that back in this movie with Ben Whishaw, and I thought he was fabulous. And what they did with his character over the 3 films in the series were even better, because the actor who plays Q is so interesting, and I wish he was on the cutting block, or on the short list for the new Harry Potter, Fantastic
really?
Beasts.
Yeah.
And he would have been so much better than Eddie Redmayne.
So much better.
Oh my god, dude!
Redmayne.
You should watch this movie on Amazon. It's called A Very British Scandal, and it's
that's Hugh Grant.
With Hugh Grant, so fucking good, man.
And he's in Paddington 1 and 2.
He is Paddington.
He
is Paddington.
So I want to talk for a minute about Miss Moneypenny, though. So,
my god.
Moneypenny was a character played by Lois Maxwell in the originals, and she actually went through Roger Moore. She extended out past Sean Connery. This character was a little bit sexy, but not really. She was older. She had kind of a back and forth with Bond, and later in the Pierce Brosnan movies, she was played by an actress named I think Samantha Bond, which I thought was funny. But what was really interesting is by introducing Naomi, who had been in the field, Eve Moneypenny, who had been in the field, who had actually killed James Bond. I think this created such a backstory, and it wasn't that she was just a secretary. She chose to be in that position to support the staff like that. I thought that was such an interesting change for the modern era. It really made me like her character even more.
Oh, Harris is so good in this movie.
I loved her character. It brought this like James Bond couldn't have her, but like there was this attraction, like you were saying, like it was this flirtatious back and forth, but it was a professional at the same time. It was perfect. I think it was no better actress to do it. Naomi Harris was awesome in this movie.
And in the originals, they had a lot of good banter, and he would always bring her back like gifts, and she would always be looking for a ring. Like that was the whole thing.
What was the one film that you showed me, Sean, where it was actually one of the non-famous actors playing James Bond, but his wife got killed or something, or his girlfriend got killed in the movie?
So that was Timothy. It was George Lazenby. And it was a movie. It was a really good one called On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And it was right after Sean Connery had left the role of James Bond. Lazenby, who was an Australian actor, came up, and his wife was played by Diana Rigg, who was famous for, I think, in our generation now from Game of Thrones. She was the old lady who poisoned Joffrey.
Wow, that's her, dude. Fuck yeah, dude.
I haven't gotten there. I swear to God, you just ruined it.
And Kojak played the villain in
Really?
that one.
You didn't know that?
No, I got to season 4. I'm on season 4 right now.
How long have you been on
Stuck
season 4, bro?
Let me tell you, Ted Lasso is where I.
Ted Lasso is a fucking
I
great
got bought
series,
over
dude.
for Ted Lasso.
Brandon,
Jesus
you can't
Christ.
get mad at a show that's been off the air for 5 years.
Don't tell me about Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense. Is all I'm saying. Jesus.
You guys want to talk about the House of Booby Traps? That kind of make you think of
talk
Home
about
Alone.
the goddamn beautiful house and how anybody could be upset about that.
Let's talk about the prime ministry, the prime minister's.
So,
like that whole.
Why does he wait outside to kill M? Why does he have to go through this whole crazy?
Because he wants to make it public. He wants her death to be. Like his death was in the shadows. He wants her death to be in the spotlight. That was the whole point.
And it makes the movie more interesting.
Is that what it is? Because honestly, if he wants to make it like a point and everything like that, wait for them to come out of the courthouse and kill her right there and then.
That whole courthouse though was awesome because you had James Bond, you had Ralph, Gareth Malloy, and you also had Eve Pennyway.
Money Penny.
Money Penny.
Jesus Christ.
But you had all three of them. You had all three of them, and all of a sudden you had the prime minister just like, oh snap! Like there is like a lot of like stuff going on in the background, and M is correct, and you just see James Bond save the day, and it was badass. Like it was cool to see James Bond in front of everyone. And it was just like,
it's badass to watch Ralph Fiennes grab a gun and shoot somebody.
That was
okay.
Nice.
So I just finished Kingsman.
I did too.
He was really good.
He was dope.
Like action. It was really interesting.
He was fucking badass.
I've not seen any of those.
Did anybody else find it interesting that Voldemort was fighting Narcissa Malfoy though? In the they were both sitting there. I'm like, oh god, Harry Potter flashback.
No.
Wait, I must have missed out.
Helen McCroy, who actually just passed away, she was the person at the.
That was her. That was her that asking the questions.
Narcissa Malfoy.
Yeah.
Draco's mother.
Oh, that's so sad. All right, can we talk about the House of the Booby Traps now?
Yeah, let's talk about the House of the Booby Traps because the House of the Booby Traps to me had a Home Alone vibe like nothing else. Like I was like. What did you all think about what did you think about the car coming to Skyfall?
Sean, how did you is this what you think about when you're in bed at night and you just are lonely? Because I feel like that's what you do.
When she said, "Where are we going?" and he said, "Back in time," I was like, "This is my movie. This is my fucking movie right here."
As soon as the car shows up, it's your
we
movie.
need
and then you get Albert
the
Finney.
edge. Yep.
Yeah.
And that car, man, when as soon as he opened, she's like, "I'm not staying there." M said, "I'm not staying here." And all of a sudden, he just lifts up the garage, and everyone's like, just
And
balls
the
dropped.
fact that
Like,
it
was
literally
amazing.
shoots people, god damn it.
Well, that was the big thing. So that
I
car
know.
is from Goldfinger, and it has an ejector seat. And
Believe it or not, I do know that, Sean.
I'm just trying to fill it in for people who haven't watched Bond movies, you motherfucker.
If there's one car that Sean wants in life, it's this
1964
car.
Aston Martin DB5.
Oh yes, oh yeah, that has Sean written all over it, man. Shit, come on.
This is the one thing Sean wants in life.
I'll take the Aston Martin. I'll even take fucking what's his name's Lotus from the.
Can you see my last note that I took?
Sean just likes the
Sean
car.
just likes the car, and Albert Finney. That's true. I mean, as a character, he was pretty badass. You have to say, Albert Finney, like he was like the wise old Gandalf who like helped him get through the last
He was that guy that goes to the
great.
bars and gets in fights, and he just like, shut up, lad. I'll fuck
Cade. Welcome to Scotland.
I love it. I love how he was also like tilting the Bond, and they're going out like shooting the shotgun from his dad. And he looks at Bond like, "What did he do again?"
It pulls to the left.
It pulls to the left, and Bond's just like, "Okay, sure." Let me just.
No, but I love the fact that he ends up killing Silva with the knife, which I mean, it comes full circle because he's like, "Oh, we can use the old, I forget
the old way,
old way, yeah, the old way."
Yeah.
We got Bond rolling his eyes at it, and then that's the way that it wins.
It actually comes full circle because this is where he's trying to like forget regarding to losing his mom and dad in there, and that scene right there, he loses his mom again, in in M as as a mom figure and whatnot. So it actually comes full circle regarding to James Bond right there, actually just dealing with always like situations and things like that.
But fuck them for destroying that house is all I'm saying. I don't care if it was a miniature.
I agree with you, but
perfection.
I will say one of my favorite lines of the whole movie, though, is when Albert Finney is showing Judi Dench the priest hole, or the I think it's priest hole is what it's called.
Yeah.
And he said, "This is where I found him, or this is where he went when I told him his parents died, and the boy who came out wasn't the same.
A boy.
Like it wasn't a boy anymore." Like that to me, it's like almost like James Bond coming back to the house. He's not the same broken James Bond. He's going to emerge a better, more, complete person. And what's really fun in the next two movies is he finds love and keeps love. So that's something that's different for James Bond too.
That whole scene, and then on top of when he's like, just Silva's not gonna die. He's also like this double agent, who still has the moves of just like Bond. He's like Bond's evil twin almost. They both have this,
He's a shadowy reflection.
Yeah, with M though, so one wants to protect them, and one wants to kill her gruesomely, just brutally. But that whole ice scene too, of like, it was just cool how like he's on top of, he's like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna go ahead and just fight this guy in the water, leave everything. And somehow I was thinking like, how is Bond gonna get out? Like, I forgot how he got out of the ice scene, and then he was like, "Oh yeah,
flare,
flare. Oh, there's my way at my entrance."
I don't question Bond anymore. I mean, he survives falls and jumps and shots and kills and things like that. I'm like, he's fucking he's Skynet. He's the next Terminator and shit, dude. That's just how Bond is.
If you're gonna say any character that is on screen or in film today, from Jack Ryan to MacGyver to MacGruber to
Reacher. I think there's a Reacher out there.
Literally any character who has been developed for the screen is a model of James Bond. There is no other character like him out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Agreed. So that brings us to the end of our review. Now it's time in the podcast where each of the hosts provides the score on the following scale. Eddie, can you provide the following scale, please?
I don't even know what I'm going to vote it.
We're already at the very end? Oh, my God.
I know. We have 4 people still
and I'm awake.
What am I going to say the next podcast? I don't even know what I'm going to say.
You can say the same thing.
You can say something. I don't know. But you can say something about Point Break.
Can we pick another Bond movie so I can just prepare for the next Bond movie? Okay, yeah. 0, the perfect movie. You don't need shit to enjoy it. 1, I filled your first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're going to Uber or lifting home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. Or 5, blackout, shit-faced, spring break drunk. Gentlemen, let's start with Jeremiah.
Again? Me? Start again? Okay.
I started last time. Sean actually started.
No, Sean actually started last time because he ran in. and then he fell back down.
I started last time.
Okay, I'll start. So
I think I did.
You did not.
I think Skyfall is on another level when it comes down to all the other James Bond films. I mean, it's fun to watch it, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a movie that knows how to tastefully blend the old school Bond with the new era, which I think is really cool. Hands down, it's the best looking Bond film ever made, and that's a big thanks to the cinematographer Roger Deakins. We've been talking about him on this particular episode, but shit, dude, I mean, he's amazing in this film. And
watch the assassination of Jesse James. Jesus Christ.
You can tell he has his fingerprint on this film. I think the supporting cast makes the film better. That's just my opinion, you know. You're more caught up with their story and everything like that. Javier Bardem is the reason why you want to watch this film alone. That's just my opinion. He's fucking amazing on it. If you're going to watch a James Bond film, this is the reason why you want to watch this film here. Whatever you think about James Bond films and things like that, that's you on your own and everything. I mean, there's some little plot holes in the film, don't get me wrong, but Skyfall, in my opinion, it's the best of the best. And maybe I need to just get more education on my James Bond films, but this is one of the top films out there. So for me, it's a 1.5. It's a feel-good first cocktail with a shot.
Nice.
I'll go.
Eddie.
Ed, you take it.
Can I go?
Answer, Ed. What do you think?
I'm playing. Don't be so rude right now. It's late for over there.
Don't be like Nate and Ted Lasso, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
don't even.
So
you bastard. Just
talking with you guys. I mean, it hasn't changed my score, but I know now it's validated my score. I'm a lifelong Bond lover, if that makes sense. Like, not like a fan of the movies, but like I just like Bond, bro. Like James Bond is when like I would hope my kids want to play James Bond, and I could be Dr. No, or I could be some evil person like on the background. Like that's just cool. Just cool vibes always. This Bond movie, I want to say I haven't watched many of the older ones, so I can't. I'm not talking about Sean Connery, so I don't want. That's not fair for me to judge. But I'm talking about from the 90s on up. This is the best Bond movie for me. I just think it has a feel of classic Bond movies without me even knowing the Bond old school movies. So just knowing that, it's just weird. Like you get this connection with him. It's almost he knows us and he's one of us somehow. At the same time, he comes from the same place as like we're all come from broken places, and it's like Bond is like this broken person, but also like he just he just keeps fighting, and it's a beautiful movie. And it was hard not to like turn on the next Bond movie. Like that's how I was like, I want to watch the next Bond movie. This was a long movie, so be ready if you're gonna watch this movie. It's definitely gonna have to have a what's that thing after a break in the
intermission?
Show
Intermission.
I needed an intermission because I needed to like put two kids to sleep and continue and refill my drink. So, but that's not because I didn't enjoy the movie. It's because I was freaking thirsty and this was a long ass movie. So I do feel like though sometimes the Bond movies are longer, so unnecessary long almost. But that's not a bad thing. It's just I'd be ready for a long movie. It's hard for me to wrap this movie up so much. Like I feel like I keep seeing more things.
A long movie like this, long speech.
Well, that's well, yours is always long. That's what she said.
Or that's what he said.
Right, Brandon?
That's what Javier Bardem, as Silva said.
What makes you think this is my first time?
Yep.
Anyway, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around with how to end this. But, okay, I'm going to give this a 1.75.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Sean finish this one, so I'm gonna take it now because I feel like this is the one time where Sean can give his -4 and
let Sean finish last.
Yeah, he's gonna finish last. So I mean, no, I don't know James Bond. I'm not a fan of the Pierce Brosnan James Bonds. I loved Casino Royale. I love this movie. I really didn't like Quantum of Solace, and I can't remember for the life of me Spectre, but I know that I saw it. And yet, when I watched this one again,
neither can the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I haven't seen the newest one, so maybe I'll get there. But no, watching this one again, and I really did come into this one with an open mind because I know that Sean was.
It didn't sound like it. You just said
it's not
you're not a
Halloween
Bond
over
fan.
again. Okay, you know what?
So, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, I liked it there, so I came open mind. But no, Jesus Christ, Ed, fucking hate you, man.
Just called you out.
This movie has a lot of plot holes. there are some things that they just skipped over because if they explained things in detail, it would have been another 45 minutes. And that frustrated me a little bit. Like, how the hell did he figure out from the one little poker chip sign that we're going to go over to that casino and then he's going to meet up with this girl, and then this girl is just going to automatically fuck him and then take him on a resort boat trip to go see
Beautiful boat.
And die.
Yes,
Die.
I mean,
and just die.
so I'm watching it, and pragmatically, I'm fucking frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I'm like, piece it together. This is literally sloppy storytelling, and that's something that I got frustrated with. But at the same time, the action and the acting. I'm not an action guy. I don't like action movies all that much. That's why Point Break was just like trash. But this movie was able to do things that I think a lot of movies want to do and don't succeed. And this movie, again, it wasn't perfect. It was actually really far from perfect. But damn it, if I'm just going to sit down and watch a movie and kind of have a mindless just enjoyment of a film, this is it. This is it 100%. So I'm going to give it a little bit better than a 1.5. I'm going to give it a 1.2, not 1.25, a 1.2, because why the hell not? So I'm going to give it, a whatever one is. I don't have my script in front of me because I've got a calculator.
It's a feel-good first cocktail.
It's a feel-good first cocktail.
As it has been for 75 fucking
you.
episodes.
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry.
I'm right below Happy Buzz.
Okay, well,
I'm
I'm gonna feel good first cocktail with a little bit extra pour, just because mainly I needed to figure out how the hell we can combine all this stuff. But so I'm a 1.2, and Sean, take us home.
Sure. So I think that if you're going to put this Bond movie against all the other Bond movies, it's as close to perfect as you're going to get. But if you put this movie against all movies, it's not. So I'm not even close to giving it a 0. That's not going to happen, gentlemen. But
it's a 0.5.
No.
2.5.
The things about this movie in particular that I think really shone was, number one, its reverence or its respect for all the movies that have come before it in the James Bond franchise. I think that this paid homage to all of those beautifully. Number two is, I think the supporting cast, including Judi Dench, including Albert Finney, including Naomi Harris. I think that every actor was fantastic, and they all played their parts and did their job, and it made this movie not just like watchable and enjoyable, but actually I want to watch it again. Like I want to get involved in the franchise and dig deeper. And I think that says a lot about this movie in particular. I think the music we didn't even talk about. It had such great notes, but also if you go to the old James Bond movies, like when the car is when the old school Aston Martin is revealed, you've got the old electric guitar finish that was from Dr. No. Like, you have so much throwback that you guys, a non-nuanced James Bond encyclopedic knowledge person like myself will know, but you guys won't.
Yeah, but how did I know about the car? Like, that's crazy.
Well,
like, I
because
knew
it's
about
iconic.
the car.
That's the James Bond iconic car.
Because Sean's been talking about it for the last 15 years.
Probably in Austin Powers too, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Don't bring up that.
Dude,
no, I mean,
Austin Powers is fucking great.
Without James Bond, there's no Austin Powers. Austin Powers is literally a mockery of James Bond. It's hilarious. Anyway, look at James Bond is a classic. English. Yeah, exactly. A classic, iconic character that has spanned generations and decades, and I think it deserves respect, and I think that we did it respectful with our scores. I'm going to give this movie a 1. I think it's a feel-good first cocktail. In the pantheon of film, I think it's really good. In the pantheon of James Bond films, I think it's absolutely fantastic and great. So that's my score, and when we add those up and divide by 4, Eddie, what does that give Skyfall?
It gives Skyfall 007 Bond, James Bond. It gives us
what drink are we making?
A vodka martini.
Eddie, I was giving you one more chance, but he lost it. All right.
That's okay. Well, that drink was also pretty strong. So give you guys heads up. Make it sure it's really stirred. It's a 1.5 1.3625.
I'm not happy right now. I'm looking at the
1.3625.
scores.
Oh,
Not happy right now.
Okay.
1.3625.
It beats Garden State, which to me is
So
desperately
yeah,
too high.
so this is where it's
No, I
at.
don't
It's
think it's
right
too high.
between
It's a good
American
movie.
Graffiti.
It's Garden State is a
Garden
better
State.
movie.
Hold on.
You want to redo Garden State?
1.3625. So we
1.3625.
it's between American Graffiti and Garden State, 14 and 15.
Okay, yeah, it is. You're right. So it's
Which is great. I mean, it's a good
Dang,
movie.
So-
Garden State's just moving down the list. I'm
Shut
so
up,
good,
sorry.
bad, good,
Which
good,
means
bad,
that Halloween
ugly,
keeps dropping too.
good, bad, ugly, alien, elf is better. And American Graffiti. What's worse is Garden State, Star Wars, Skywalker, and Glorious Bastards.
What's that big fish one though?
That's
Big
the lost
Fish,
episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a few lost
I'm
episodes.
just gonna keep asking that one.
The only I will
1.3625.
tell you, the only thing that would have made this film better, I think, is if Brian Cox.
Oh,
Was in
Brian
it
Cox.
instead of-
And he's Scottish. He should have really
Yeah, he
been
should have
instead of
played the
Albert
part
Finney.
right there.
He
Seriously.
should have been Albert Finney. That's
I
all.
could have
All
seen
right.
that.
If you've enjoyed this review or a fan of the podcast, we ask that you please subscribe wherever you're listening.
Please
and leave
subscribe,
us a
share us.
5-star review on iTunes. You can also find us on Instagram at the Gentleman Podcast. You can reach out to us by email at hosts with an S at thegentlemanpodcast.com. We're happy to take requests for movies. We're going to do some I think we're gonna do some fun and interesting things as we finish out season 3, and then we'll dive into season 4 shortly thereafter.
And everybody just
And-
tell 30 of your friends to listen to us. That's all we ask. Just 30 friends.
The power of 30.
Just 30
Just
I
30
mean,
each.
I don't have 30 friends, so it's very difficult. For
I
me
have
to do that.
3 friends, technically 2.5.
Just tell your family to
Jeremiah,
listen to us.
What do we have coming up? What do we have coming up next week, Jeremiah?
I believe it's either going to be Eddie's pick or it's going to be Brandon's pick.
I think we need to do Brandon's pick because Eddie's pick is too. Oh wait, no. Oh,
So we are going to do a musical, Eddie. So I believe it's going to be Eddie's pick. Eddie, what it's going to be?
It's gonna be La La Land, guys.
La La Land.
I do love me some Ryan
It.
Gosling.
Never watched it.
And
I
Emma
wanna watch
Stone.
it.
Is that our
adorable.
first Ryan Gosling
I'm a-
movie?
I'm a fan.
no, we
of-
did. Remember the Titans. He is golden in that.
I'm a fan of Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling.
Listeners, so guess what? We're going to have a lot of cool contests coming up pretty soon. So just watch us, follow our Instagram page and everything like that. There's going to be an opportunity where you actually get to choose my 2010 pick because I am very indecisive and I can never,
You
keep
change it
one
all the time
fucking pick.
anyways.
He is
So I will
fucking
let you
indecisive.
pick my film
It's the
and
most irritating thing on the face of the planet.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
there's
really.
more-
okay.
so maybe
But you
more
get to
decisive.
choose my film. So how about that? So we're going to do a contest on our Instagram page. So it's going to be fun times. You make the choice.
Clink, clink, bitches.
Clink, clink, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes.
All right.
I'm sad.
Bond.
You guys are
James
awesome.
Bond.
So sad.
Ding, ding.
Cheers, gentlemen.
75th
Cheers.
episode.
That went really, really well.
Was that
That was one of our
best?
longest
That was one of our-
episodes.
That's one of our best. That was one of our best.
Bond.
James Bond. We could actually still keep the whole Vodka Martini with lemon peel. I mean, it is kind of iconic.